Welcome back to 3 Laps, 3 Topics and part 2 of our little F1 season preview, where we're going through each of the drivers and discussing their prospects for the coming year. So I'm going to delve back into my bag. Oh, if you missed part 1, we discussed Bottas, Kobayashi and Vettel, but we're gonna dive back into my high-tech bag, give it a shuffle. Who are we going to get here out of the bag? Mr. Alonso. So another man, I think similar to Vettel in a way, in that has had a very, very strong past few years, but has kind of got quite a bit to prove this year. You've got this new dynamic in the Ferrari team of Raikkonen coming in, and which straight away I think is remarkable. I've been following F1 since 1996. And they've always had a number 1 and a number 2 driver. Even in the year where it changed from Raikkonen to Massa in terms of number 1 status, they've always had a number 1 and a number 2 driver. And Alonso is going to battle harder than anyone to keep that number 1 status. I think what's key to him, and to be honest, it's similar with Raikkonen as well. The key to his championship bid is getting a good start. If the Ferrari, if it can be quicker than it's looked in testing, and he can get a few, let's say beyond for a podium on sheer pace, and maybe take a few wins through, say, the unreliability of the Mercedes, then I think Alonso's going to be in good stead to fight for the championship this year. But yeah, in terms of comparing to other seasons, what kind of season I think Alonso's going to have, I think he's got the potential to have even better seasons than, say, 2012. I think Alonso's going to revel with these new rules, with the talent that he does have. So I'm going to make the prediction that Alonso will finish in the top 3 of the championship. And without further ado, we'll crack onto our second drive of this video. It's going to be Adrian Sutil. Now, Adrian Sutil to me is still a bit of an enigma. I was quite surprised when Sauber signed him, and to be honest, I think Sauber have the weakest driver lineup, if I'm being honest. For me, Sutil, what is he? He's given his year out. He's been in F1 since about 2007. He's had a lengthy career now, and he's never looked like the kind of guy who's going to be capable of stepping up from a lower midfield battle. And that's why I was a bit surprised that Sauber took him over, say, I don't know, De Resta. I can't think of any of the other examples off the top of my head, but he really does need to have a good year. He needs to step up this year if he wants to have at least a few more years in F1. And absolutely, he has to beat Gutierrez. He has to beat Gutierrez. Maybe not hands down, but by a good few points, to satisfy me anyway that he warrants his place in Formula 1. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Adrian Sutil. If I'm being honest, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to step up, and I think this kind of is the last chance saloon for him. So we're delving back in the bag. We're rummaging around in the bag, and out of the bag is coming... now this is a guy who could have an interesting year. Jules Bianchi. And I'm quite glad that a Russia driver's come out, because I was talking a bit about Caterham in the last part with Kobayashi, and there's been lots of questions over whether it's going to be Marussia or Caterham. We'll say both of them are going to score points in the first race. If it's possible they could score points in the first race, and I think it very much is possible that one of those two teams could score points in the first race. But I think if it's going to be one of them, it's going to be Marussia. Now maybe not on pure pace, Caterham did have a very good last test. They show that the Renault engine can actually work. But for me, Bianchi's got more pace than Chilton, but what they've both got is I think wiser racing heads to get the car to the finish. Especially with Chilton, I'll come on to him more when he actually comes out the back. I think Bianchi's got the potential to have a really good year. The potential to be that first Marussia points scorer, and really in a similar way to when Alonso came along and was with Minardi for a year. I think Bianchi can have that similar kind of a year of really push above his weight and be looking towards a drive further up the grid. In fact, the Sauber position, for me, the Sauber position would have been a good one for him for this year. But in a way, I think it's quite good that he's settled in that Marussia team, and he's taken a wise choice to at least stay there for the time being. So there's part 2. I hope you've enjoyed it. On the screen are links to part 1 and part 3. I've been Andrew the Blade, and I hope to hear from you soon.